It began on an ordinary morning when I found a bright yellow envelope tucked under my door. The HOA's seal was printed across the front, and inside was a fine notice. To my disbelief, the violation listed was my welcome mat. It was a simple beige mat with the word hello printed in bold black letters. According to the HOA, it was deemed offensive and non-compliant with community aesthetics. I stood there stunned. Of all the things they could target, this was their concern? Frustration turned quickly into determination. If they wanted to play petty, I could play smarter. The more I thought about it, the more absurd the situation seemed. Neighbors had garden gnomes, sports team flags, and wreaths on their doors. Yet somehow, my harmless hello mat had been singled out as a violation. I flipped through the HOA handbook, reading line after line of vague language about uniformity and visual consistency. There was no mention of welcome mats, no prohibition against words, nothing concrete at all. Their fine was baseless, built on nothing more than pettiness. And that gave me an idea. If my mat wasn't allowed, I would replace it with something much bigger. Instead of rushing to remove the mat, I started planning. I scrolled through online shops and home improvement sites, until I found the perfect replacement: a massive custom outdoor rug. It could stretch across my entire porch, big enough to cover the space twice over. The real trick, though, was the design. I carefully submitted an order with a subtle pattern that, when read from above, spelled out a hidden message. It was faint, almost decorative, but to anyone paying attention, the words stood out clearly. My plan wasn't just to comply, it was to make a statement. Delivery day arrived. Neighbors watched curiously as a rolled-up rug nearly the size of a carpet was carried onto my porch. With a grin, I unrolled it across the entryway. The rug looked elegant at first glance, its geometric design fitting in with the neighborhood's style. But when viewed closely, the message became obvious. Welcome to Pettyville. It was subtle enough to pass inspection, yet clear enough to make its point. Passersby chuckled as they noticed it, whispering in amusement. The HOA wanted my hello mat gone, but now they had an even bigger problem sitting in plain sight. The first HOA patrol didn't take long. Karen, clipboard in hand, marched toward my porch. She crouched down, studying the rug, her lips tightening as she realized what it said. She snapped photos and scribbled furiously, likely preparing another violation notice. But the wording in the handbook was vague. Decorative rugs were not prohibited, and nothing banned words unless they were explicit or threatening. My rug said neither. Karen's frustration was palpable as she stormed off, neighbors stifling laughter from across the street. I had followed the rules perfectly, and she hated it. Days passed, and whispers spread through the community. Residents came by just to glance at the rug, chuckling at its boldness. Even admitted they admired the clever pushback against the HOA's nonsense. But Karen wasn't done. At the next HOA meeting, she presented the rug as an escalating act of defiance. The board reviewed photos, flipping through their regulations, trying desperately to categorize the violation. But they couldn't. The rug wasn't offensive, didn't use profanity. It's porch size requirements for porch coverings. The board's hands were tied. And Karen's outburst only made her look ridiculous in front of everyone. By now, my rug had become a neighborhood attraction. Families walking by pointed it out, kids giggled, and adults nodded in quiet approval. The HOA's attempt to control something as small as a welcome mat had spiraled into public embarrassment. Karen avoided eye contact whenever she passed, her campaign backfiring spectacularly. The HOA's credibility weakened, and neighbors grew bolder in questioning other arbitrary rules. My one rug had sparked a shift, showing that standing firm within the rules was more powerful than blind compliance. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. They tried to erase a single word, but I gave them a sentence. Eventually, the HOA stopped sending notices altogether. The rug remained untouched, a permanent fixture on my porch, and a quiet victory against pettiness. What started as a fine over the word hello had ended with a neighborhood laughing at the very people meant to enforce order. Karen retreated into silence, her clipboard less threatening than ever before, and me. I enjoyed every morning stepping over that rug, knowing it represented more than decoration. It was proof that rules could work both ways. The HOA fined me for my welcome mat, but in the end, they only helped me make history.